All right, welcome to another edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. 2 weeks in a row, baby. I've made it 2 weeks in a row, Louie. I'm here.
Oh,
Louie
Mike's here.
Nadeau,
Hey, Mike,
Mike
what's up, buddy? How are
Gandolfo.
you? Hey, Mike. Hi.
I'm good. Cheers, my friend. I'm drinking a little brown water today.
How about that?
You know, a little Woodford Double Oat. The only Woodford that I will drink is Woodford Double Oat.
You see they came out with the double-double.
Did they?
So there's a double-double.
No, they did that a while ago in one of those experimental bottles.
Did they?
Yeah.
So they're releasing it as full bottle now, so that should be fun. That's a good one. Sounds good.
Nice. It's good.
Yeah.
Double-double's good.
I agree. It is good.
Yeah. So all about it. We're here. You know, we're coming off Pegasus this weekend. We're going to talk about some Derby preps. Louie's actually, this will probably end up being a little bit of a shorter show, even though we got Brian Nadeau coming on a little bit to talk about what's going on out at Gulfstream. It used to be something that I would go to all the time. Like this Holy Bull weekend used to line up with like winter break, and I would be able to go down. We had a place in Boca. This is totally a humble brag. And then I would just go to the Holy Bull. So I kind of missed these weekends in Gulfstream and with my tarnished silver spoon that I grew up with. And so that doesn't sound tarnished, actually. Now that
it doesn't sound bad at all.
Yes.
You don't know it's tarnished.
Yeah, I might have to look that word up.
There you go. Yeah,
but
check that one out. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good day. And then Lou will have some guests on tomorrow on the ESPN show that he does every morning from 10 to noon Eastern. By the way, you can always live stream Louie. If you want to listen to Louie every day, there's no reason why you're not listening to Louie every day.
I mean, come on. Don't you want my Kentucky basketball takes? People, get in here.
You mentioned horse racing most days.
I'm calling him Scal Edwards now, Mike. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean,
is that offensive to Scal?
No, you need to be calling him Scal Bradshaw.
Let's get there, isn't it?
Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. That's enough Kentucky basketball talk tonight. You know, we can
there you
go.
Tomorrow I will have Matty DeSantis. We don't call him Matty. It's actually Matthew DeSantis at Failed to Menace on Twitter. He'll join at 11:20. We'll talk to our guy Matt Dinnerman about the races in Oaklawn. So we'll do Naira at 11. We'll do Oaklawn at 11:20. I'll give a pick for the Lewis today at the end of this show. But we're going to be Gulfstream heavy. Late pick 3, Oaks Prep in the forward gal. We'll talk about that Kitten's Joy, which is the 3-year-old turf race. Sets us up for the rest of that turf season on the 3-year-old side. And then, of course, we'll get into the Holy Bull as well.
I need to ask you a serious personal question.
I don't believe you, but go ahead.
How are you handling not being notified every single time a Connect colt is in a stakes race?
The Dan Issel joke, which I appreciate very much. You know what? I eventually figured out with Dan, we would do the handicapping stuff on Friday. I could have just had AI sit in for him. And if I put in the name of the sire and the trainer and nothing else, no distance, no surface, no track, nothing.
No jockeys.
Just those two things, I could have predicted what Dan Issel was thinking. That's right. Yeah.
We love you, Dan. And
we
I
do.
hope you're listening, but we know you're not.
No chance.
No, not at all.
He'll be doing stuff on this show, though, coming up soon, especially with Mike being out. We'll try to get some more Issel back on the happy hour. How about that?
Yeah, I'm going to be missing the next 2 weeks. Going to do some traveling. So I'm in California next week, and it's just not prohibitive for me to be able to hop on the show. I think I'm still going to be on the airplane, actually, when the show's going on next week.
Oh, how about that?
And then I'm doing taking advantage of, the boy is a junior, and we got to take advantage of every long weekend that we have to go on college visits. So we're doing a little Northeast college visit tour the week after that. So him and I are packing up the family car, and we're gonna pack in like 5 schools over a long weekend.
Well, there you go, man. All right, hey, let's get to a replay here, man. I thought we got one of the more fun finishes to a Pegasus World Cup we've had in a while. Last year, our collector ran them off their feet, and man, Sador Buscador almost did the damn thing this past weekend as well. But of course, man, hey, National Treasure, get out front, stay out front, man. It's a good way to run.
Inside lane with a quarter of a mile left to go. Still plenty of folks here in the Pegasus World Cup. National Treasure has come away with the lead. Senor Buscador, he's still closing down the center. There's an 1/8 of a mile to go, and National Treasure with work to do. Senor Buscador takes aim on the outside. They come past the 8th pole. Jockey John on the inside. It's still National Treasure holding on. Down the center, Senor Buscador is running out of time. National Treasure would not be denied.
All right, 7-6, and because I was born in 76, they came in 76. I liked it. So Senor Biscuit, by the way, I was very pleasantly surprised to see him get bet down to where he got bet down. I mean, what morning line was 20-1.
Yeah, it was too high.
It was way too high. And
yeah,
I think
he was a 12-1 type. Yeah,
we're looking at a horse that it set himself up for what I think could be a great campaign this year in 2020.
The older dirt 2-turn category thing appears to be on pretty okay footing right now. I worry, of course, with some of the better Saudi Crown heading to the Saudi, heading to the Saudi. I worry that, once those horses make that trip to the Arabian Peninsula, a lot of them don't come back well over 2 turns after that. But we'll see. Look, we're set up for a decent 2-turn dirt year on the male side. We take it for granted on the filly and mare side, right? We just do, because we just know they're going to run the top ones at least until they're 5, something like that. And so we take that for granted. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that this year. I think we're actually going to get some pretty solid, the Clark, I think is going to be really good. I think the Breeders' Cup Classic actually will set up to be a really good betting race. I'm not sure that there's a dominant male in that group at the very top that I can count on as far as coming back from the Arabian Peninsula in top shape. Saudi Crown, White Barrio, any of those kinds of horses. So it should be a fun year, Mike, as we go through trying to figure out, does Senor Buscador, that style at 10 furlongs, you add, right? That was a mile and an eighth. You go a mile and a quarter to the British Cup Classic.
He's winning that race. Right? He's winning it.
So, right. So I think that really sets up well for a fun season.
And he just keeps on maturing just really well, and you just hope that he doesn't peak early, that he doesn't peak in the spring, and that he's able to carry it out through November, because I think he could have a really strong year. So comes in second. National Treasure was the heavy favorite, although his odds loosened up a little bit. I think he was a heavier favorite in the morning line. But of course, Flavian on board with the win. He was up front the entire time, rode National Treasure exactly how he has to be ridden, and no surprises there. And then we get a pretty good long shot with Krupe coming in third.
Yeah.
I don't think that was one that we really – and that's coming from that outside post position.
Right. So, that's one we didn't have on our radar. I had Skippy Longstocky right next to him as a contender in the race. They pulled the horse up. Apparently he's okay. But, yeah, no, just Krupe was not one I had Nimitz Class in that spot. I was hoping – from the one that Nimitz Class would get the right trip. He didn't. It didn't work out for him that day, but I thought a really fun version of that race coming off the turn. You didn't know who was going to win. Give me that all day in 2-turn races.
Absolutely. Anything else from that day?
By the way, a shout out to, I think we need to do Todd Fincher's smaller barn, only like 24 starts in January altogether out of his barn. He's doing an incredible job with Senor Buscador. That horse is in terrific form.
Any other takeaways from Pegasus Day?
Just that it's still a really good day of racing. You can say whatever you want, but the turf racing at Gulfstream Park, they do a good job. And I don't want to say it's an indictment of Churchill Downs, but it is not a good sign that Gulfstream rebuilt their turf course that quickly, and they're back running those high level races. Warm Heart comes through on the inside, for example, in that World Cup invitational turf. Man, it was nice to see that level of grass racing down in Florida. Hopefully, the folks up here at Churchill Downs will have that ready by the time we get to that Derby meet.
Yeah, we got to hope for that for sure. I'm going to make an early 2025 Pegasus prediction.
Okay.
I'm going to predict that we're going to be doing the preview show in tuxedos, and that we'll be doing that show live on Gulfstream next year.
Would not hurt my feelings.
No, let's do it. Almost, actually, I saw, Joseph A. Banks was running a special on tuxedos the other day, and I was like, I'm going to just buy one. So I'm going to buy one.
Hang it in your office as a reminder. That's what you're working for.
Yeah, it's the goal. It's what we're going for. So
hey, when I think Eclipse Awards, I think horse racing happened. I mean, it is what it is. I think class going class.
Sure.
I think
we're different than everybody else, right? So
we're something else, yeah, right.
We are something else. No doubt about it. Hey, Louie, you were going to ask me a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, about the different seasons. I think we were going to do it on the radio show when I do my guest spot on Wednesdays, and you never got around to that conversation. So, we are in Derby prep season. I do like how the horse racing season kind of splits up into 2 different 6-month segments. And in some ways, it's really like it's 2 4-month segments in a lot of ways, with the 2-month we kind of run up time.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And you were wondering, I think, were you going to ask me if you felt like the Pegasus and the Saudi races, if that kind of overshadowed that, or what was your question?
No, just where do they fit, man? Right? It's such a bizarre time of year because this is the time of year if you're going to give a horse time off, you're going to shoot for December and those, kind of like the cigar mile happens and then we all go to sleep for a month or whatever. And it makes sense, especially in colder climates, that your horses, would go out and grow their coats and hang out and do those things. I just wonder what those races, with a horse like Saudi Crown. We'll just use him as an example because we know he's going to the peninsula. Like, is it good for the sport that instead of shooting for Breeders' Cup glory with some of these horses, they're aiming for money in the Arabian Peninsula? And I know it's an old question and these kinds of things, but is it good to add a season to horse racing, or is horse racing better when we're concentrated on the Derby and we're concentrated on Breeders' Cup? I really don't know the answer to that. I think that you could sprinkle in more things, but I think we used to have those as well. We've lost some of them. I feel like Arlington Million Day was one of those where it was like in the middle of the summer because it was in Chicago. The weather was a little better for those sorts of things. Some of those have gone away, and I'm interested if outside obviously Saratoga, Del Mar, those places dominate in the summer and they're great meets and I love them. But is there something that can fill in that spot? Santa Anita's talking about a 3-year-old race that they're going to be putting in next September in a stakes level. Interested to see if that works out, if they can shake up that 3-year-old schedule a little bit. The reason that one makes sense is you've got the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar the next 2 years. And if you've got a good 3-year-old, he wins over 2 turns in that Derby, then just trade up to the Breeders' Cup, right? You're ready to go. You don't have to run in October then. So that makes sense on their end of things. Like, how many more of these things can we set up? And obviously the Saudi stuff, the UAE stuff is more for older horses than it is for, say, a Derby contender.
That's my point.
Yeah, okay.
I think ultimately
it doesn't mess with the Derby preps, right?
The Derby preps are over here. Those horses want to run a little bit, and so it gives them just enough to get out there. Those older horses to get out there and run for some big purses. And I would actually say that especially with the Saudi Cup and the UAE Derby, or the UAE the older horse race, not the Derby, but I actually think that the World Cup, they really have been important with the Japanese breeders coming around and making them more of a force. And I think that makes the Breeders' Cup more interesting when we have an actual international flair. We talked about it a little bit last year, right before the Breeders' Cup. I'd love to see we get the Australian horses, but that'll never happen because the Breeders' Cup
their schedule is totally different. Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah. But I think it actually opens up for us to have a true Breeders' Cup in the fall, because there's a more international race feel with those older horses. So I like it. I mean, I think it allows those horses to go over to Saudi Arabia, over to UAE, run their races. People notice, but it doesn't really take attention away from the Derby Trail. It actually, I think, would be a little bit. The Foster I don't think really gets impacted by it too much, because I think that's another it's paced out enough for when those horses come back that the Foster, if they want to run the Foster, they can. So I don't know. I think I'm in favor of it right now the way it is.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the next segment, which was the Greatest Stakes Committee. Are they watching the Derby Trail, Louie? You made this point when you and I were on the radio, mainly looking at the races that we have coming up this weekend. They're kind of grade 3s that lead into grade 2s that lead into grade 1s.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. So I don't know, because we haven't been at this for 100 years. I've only really been following as far as doing media on horse racing since 2018. But did the Derby Trail influence the Graded Stakes Committee or vice versa, right? And so I don't know if it's chicken and egg in this case, but obviously all 4 prep races this weekend are grade 3s, right? So whether it's in New York or in Miami or in Hot Springs or in Arcadia, they're all grade 3s, right? And then they move into higher rated races as we move along. The Fountain of Youth, a grade 2, San Felipe, grade 2, Gotham is still a grade 3. That Tampa Bay Derby, when we get down the line into March, right before my birthday, we're going to talk about a grade 2 down there. The Louisiana Derby, a grade 2. The only race at the very end that's not a grade 1, because the Santa Anita Derby, the Bluegrass, the Florida Derby, the Arkansas Derby are all grade 1s. is that Jeff Ruby Stakes, which is hilarious because we had a second place finisher out of that race last year. And then we had the winner of the damn thing.
The winner.
A couple years ago. And frankly, since 2012, we've had 2 winners and a second place finisher out of that race, and it's still a grade 3, right? Which is interesting. But it just seems to be following that. And that's a very logical progression for graded stakes, right? For them to be grade 3s right now. And as the horses get older, for them to be grade 1s when we're trying to qualify in that very last bit for the Kentucky Derby. So no, it caught my eye this year. I think it was something that I just hadn't paid attention to prior to this, because I started to watch it a little bit more because races that I really like the Cigar Mile, because I love where it is on the calendar. I know that there's at least one more big older dirt race, sitting there after the Breeders' Cup, not even after the Breeders' Cup, but after the Clark, right? And so after Thanksgiving, getting into that, it was downgraded to a grade 2. So I was kind of started to watch the grading, and, it always comes out in January. Oh, this one's this and this one's that. And so it's been fun to watch, but I do wonder which one influenced the other one more. I just don't know.
And then now, we're kind of talking, especially once the horse gets that black type win, then they just really care about purses. They don't care about the grade.
You and I agree on that. I got some pushback. I did flatter a couple month and a half ago, and I said that, and he said, "Oh, I don't know. I really think the grade really matters." And it does. But I think once a horse wins the stakes, man, people start chasing purses. I mean, we see that especially with the fillies and mares around here, right? Mm-hmm. Where there's a $250,000 listed stakes at Churchill, you're going to get a field, man, right? If there's $300,000 stakes, you're going to get a field at Kentucky Downs, right? So I think you're right. People, if there's an opportunity for money, they're going to go get the money.
But of course, with that being said, you would think if they're really chasing the purses, then why does California racing even exist?
Have you been to Santa Anita?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Been to Del Mar?
I have been to Del Mar.
That's why it exists.
I guess so, but those purses suck, man. They're just not.
I mean, comparatively, they do. I mean, I was looking, by the way, I was thinking about this. The Oaklawn card this weekend, 115 Gs, maiden special, $140,000 allowance, 140, maiden 115, a crappy starter allowance for 65, which is the same price as a maiden special in LA, 115 for a maiden special, 140 for an allowance, 150 for a stakes. 250 for a stakes, 150 for a stakes, and then 800 for a stakes and 140 for an allowance. I mean, that's just better money, right? I mean, it's just better, but you got to want to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas. You got to remember how Dinnerman talks about being in California, man. That's the difference, right? For people out, people in a certain region of the country, they just want to be there. It is what it is.
I hear that. All right, we're going to keep things going here. See if Brian's ready to go. I think he's getting situated. Cool. All right, we got Brian Nadeau ready to go.
How about that?
Come on, there's that. Right.
Nadeau ready to go.
Camera on everything.
Oh, I got a camera. How about
hey,
that?
guys.
All right. How about
we
that?
heard that you were going to go audio only.
How about that?
And then you shifted up. You're like, oh, these two guys aren't that good looking. Yeah. I'm all right.
I was threatening, but what's up, guys?
You know what you get at Gulfstream? You get the best combination of chest hair and man bun with Saffy Joseph Jr. And then you get the best soul patch in the business with Brian. Brian, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, we love Saffy down here. He's a good guy. So yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Hey, Brian, share a little bit about just like your horse racing story and kind of how you got involved. And I think it's always interesting because everyone's got such a unique answer to this question. How'd you get involved in horse racing?
Yeah, I grew up about 15 minutes from Saratoga. So oddly enough, though, I didn't go there until I think I was 18. I went once. All my friends were going kind of with their parents and stuff or their dads. And my parents were just never really doing that kind of thing. So I found it. I think I had graduated high school. I found it that summer, went once, never really clicked. And then the following year while I was in school, I bet the Derby in 1995 and Thunder Gulch won and paid about $52, and that buys a lot of draft beer as a college person, and that kind of just hit me. And then obviously that was May, and when I got back home in the summer, it was just nonstop, and that was kind of it. And I was just a gambler for a while, and then 2006 I interned with Naira and just kind of got going from there.
Just you right there, and so growing up, you're Johnson Mets fan. Are you excited about the Mets season coming up?
The Mets, you said? You were breaking up a little bit. I don't know.
You got a Super
hard.
70 shirt, man. That ain't
Yeah, it's hard being a Mets fan, that's for sure. But we keep the faith. It's hard. Drives me to drink sometimes, but we love it. We got a good owner now, and last year was a big punch in the face. There's no doubt about it. After a huge 2022, but farm systems kind of stocked a little bit, and we might have to punt this year, but we're going in the right direction. I think.
There you go. The eternal optimism of the Mets.
Yes.
I appreciate you jumping on, Brian. Brian and I have been texting back and forth. We even talked about last week, but of course, the Pegasus. What is that weekend like, man? That's one actually I haven't gotten to do yet. Is the Pegasus weekend? Is that? I mean, when you talk like Florida Derby and those kind of comparisons, how does it compare to like a Florida Derby Saturday?
It's much more upscale, we'll call it. Obviously, limited tickets and a much more. How do I say? You get much more of an experience at the Pegasus, where the Florida Derby is, open to everyone, and there's a lot going on, and it's phenomenal racing. You might see a Kentucky Derby winner. Pegasus is much more of a kind of a red carpet type of thing, where you get elite entertainment along with the horse racing. So they put on a heck of a show last week. It was jam-packed. It's probably the best weather we've ever had for the Pegasus, and the racing delivered too. They bet over 47 million. National Treasure, we had the Preakness winner, and Senior Buscador threw it down, so it was a great way to end it. Warm Heart, Group 1 winner, group through and through, ends her career in the Pegasus World Cup turf. So we were very, very happy with how everything played out.
Who was your favorite? What was your favorite performance of the weekend? Was it Warm Heart slipping through on the rail, or was it someone else?
You know what? I think it was National Treasure. I don't love him, I don't hate him, but he ran so big in the race. The horses that were second and third were last and second last at the pace call, and he was up there chasing a hellacious pace, and they could have run around 7 times, and Senior Buscador was never going by. I will say this: it was really cool to see him win. I was at Fairgrounds when I was at Fairgrounds when Todd Fincher brought him there, and things just did not go right for him kind of ever since then. It's just a great job that Todd's done to get him back to, one of the best handicapped horses in the country right now. So I think both horses acquitted themselves super, super good.
That's awesome.
All right, we're gonna get into some handicapping. You ready to do that, Louie?
Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna start with the Ford Gal. This is an Oaks Prep, Grade 3, 7 furlongs, $125,000 purse here. Of course, this is for 3-year-old fillies. Louie, we'll start with you. Who do you like here?
Oh, how about that? Look at me. I get to go first. I was just going to ask Brian.
You're the king of the fillies, man.
Well, that's fair. I look, Scalable's in this race. If she runs big, I think she wins. We talk about class going class on this show. If she shows up with her class, I think she's got a real shot. Obviously, the local 4 Safi, we mentioned him earlier, is our Harper Rose, the 4 here. Man, I'm really interested in Nikides, the 5 horse here, daughter of Audible. I think she's one of these horses that's starting to figure it out. If you go back, watch her at Aqueduct the last time out under Manny Franco. Kind of juggles at the beginning, and then she climbs slowly throughout the race and sort of figures it out. I'm interested to watch her. She's been off for a little bit, about 2 months, training at pace, and so she's at least, doesn't have that winter coat on or anything like that. 5-1, you get Irad, you get Chad. Is this the kind of horse where she's developing the right way that she might be the one that jumps up here? I don't think you're going to get that 5-1 number just because of the connections, Brian. But I think solidly 4-1 on this horse. I think she's definitely worth trying.
Yeah, she's my pick. I like her in this spot too, Louie, because Scalable's nice. I wasn't overwhelmed with her last race. She had to win. She did, to her credit. She did it pretty easily. Nobody ran an inch in that race. The other favorite was beating a football field. And then our Harper Rose too. I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot of give between these two horses. They want to go. It's 7 furlongs. That could be a real problem for them. I like the fact that Scalable is outside our Harper Rose. I think our Harper Rose is going to have to step up in here. I think she's got more questions than Scalable. She's beaten up on inferior competition. She stubbed her toe going 2 turns last time, and she's inside Scalable. I think that's a problem for her too. And you said it. Chad's gotten going a little bit of late. He popped with a really nice 3-year-old on on Thursday. And I think the barn's turning over a little bit now. And I kind of feel like at the end of the day, Nikitas is going to be the best 7 furlong horse in here. And I think that might play out.
I'm interested in your take. Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, you got quite. I'll finish it up with mine. So go ahead.
Just gonna ask. I was down there when Tyler was just starting out and he was still running in the summers down there and doing those kinds of things. Edgar Zayas is aboard Nikitas here. Do you think he's the kind of guy that eventually will take a Tyler type route and move north during that summer, or do you think he's just a Miami guy just wants to be down there?
Well, he's gone around a little bit. It's more when Safi ships and things like that, and he's his main guy. Listen, Edgar, we get to see him throughout the year, but he can play this game on a national level. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He's got his family down here. Sometimes it's also, more than just, hey, I want to go here and ride. I think there's a little more to it than that. He's got a young family and things like that. Sure. But listen, he's world class, and he's standing up in the jocks room to anybody down here. It's just a matter of, getting the horses and things like that. But I do think if he ever wants to make a move, it's tough. We see it every winter. We've got guys like Lionel Reyes. We've got guys like Miguel Vasquez. These are really good riders, but you got to get into a barn, and you got to have a barn that's going to take you places. Tyler has got barns in Kentucky, and it's worked out very well for him. But, Edgard is class and really darn good through and through.
Yeah, the summer I just tell people, look for Edgard, you'll be okay to go. That's right.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do on the show, Brian, is we try to make horse racing approachable, and we try to teach bettors kind of what to look for, maybe some traps. So there's 2 horses you all didn't mention that I could see a bettor kind of getting tricked into maybe, and not that they don't have a chance to win because they obviously would, but one of that being the 2-horse Fiona's Magic with that 80 speed figure at 6 furlongs, coming off 2 straight wins, and then the other one being the 7, which I'm guessing is Whitewater's Rand, not Whitwater's Rand, who's coming off a grade 3 win, but obviously looks like it's probably favors a 2-turn race, maybe over a 1-turn race.
It was on the
but has an 85 speed figure. So what say you guys about those 2 horses? I know they're a little bit of a layoff.
The Mike Yates horse is good. She's very good. She's in a tough spot here. That's Fiona's Magic. She beat a good horse last time. And she did it on the square. She's good. Being inside is a problem for her. She kind of probably only knows one way to go. She's going to have to step up. Mike won races last year with Darth Vader on the national scene, so he knows what he's doing. He's a good trainer. This might be a little more than biting off a little more than she can chew. To the outside, my partner Samantha Perry likes Whitwater Sand in here, and she thinks she can run on dirt. She's got a lot of class coming down from Woodbine. She's another horse where 7 might, running in that 2-turn race, the Mazarine. She might have some foundation down here, but you kind of mentioned traps a little bit. This is also something that Team Cassie can throw against the wall and see if it sticks. And if it doesn't, they can go back to Woodbine. They can try the turf and things like that. So I'm going to fade her a little bit and make her prove it. But, I don't think I wouldn't fall over if she won either.
Yeah, I think that especially about the outside horse there with Whitwater Sand. I would say the switch from that Tapeta surface north of the border is a very different surface than they have at Gulfstream for sure. And I would wonder about that. I don't think Fiona's Magic is necessarily out of the class here. I think that, despite being, St. Patrick's Day, a Florida bred, whatever else, like Brian said, this is a training group that has put up a Darth Vader and other things. And so it's not as though she can't win here. I just think it would be, I think 8-1 is a probably very accurate price for what we'll get on Saturday.
The second leg of the late pick 3 is the 11th race. This is a 1.16 on the turf. It is the Kitten's Joy. Grade 3 race, $175,000 purse. Brian, who did you like in this one?
I like Deadpan in here. He's got to step up. Nobody's crazy fast in here on whatever figures you're using. Deadpan got a trip last time. He got kind of I don't think they tried too hard with him, Jose Ortiz. I thought he could have been asked a little more. Now we switch over to John Velasquez, who will probably put him in the race a little bit more. He should be a square price. I think he's coming into the race, maybe potentially able to run a lifetime best. I know the big figure last time was with Lasix. That worries me a little bit. But Agate Road, the 2 Pletchers, Agate Road and Noted are they're fine. Don't get me wrong, but they're no great shakes, and they don't lay over this field by any stretch of the imagination. Noted got an epic meltdown in the pulpit. The horses that were up front early totally melted down. It was all closers. The runner-up had a world of trouble. It was a perfectly timed ride by Irad. But to me, these are horses you're allowed to fade a little bit, or you're allowed to try to beat, or if nothing else, you're allowed to spread in this race a little bit. And that's where I went with Deadpan.
Louie, what about you?
You know, a horse that he didn't mention is First World War in here. This is another Tyler, actually. We talked about the 2 in the last race. Tyler's aboard on the 6 here, First World War for Brendan Walsh. Just a son of Warfront. Interested here. This is a horse going back to the turf, has won previously at Kentucky Downs on the firm go. Man, it's so hard for me to watch horses leave Kentucky Downs and go other places, try to figure out if it's going to work out for them. I like this spot for that horse, though. I think if you look back at that grade 2 Bourbon at Keeneland at this distance, grade 2 last time, 4th place finish. Don't look at that. Look at the amount of lengths beaten. Only a length and a half was right there. Tyler knows this course, knows this horse. I think at 4-1, I think you'll get every bit of 4-1 because you're going to have the Ortiz boys getting all the money thrown at them. You're going to get the Pletcher name, money thrown at him. I think you're going to get nice value here. I think you might even get 9-2 on a horse like First World War. And coming out of that Mucho Macho, man, I don't love surface changes as one of my handicapping tools, but I think if one is going to make it, it's going to be that horse.
You mentioned Todd Pletcher. Todd Pletcher looking to win this race for the 3rd year in a row. Has 2 big time, noted being his best shot, the 9-horse, and then a Gate Road, the 4-horse there for Todd Pletcher. Anything
I was going to ask Brian about a horse in this race. The 1 Hammerstein.
Yep.
So you're not going to get blown away by the speed figures with this horse. But at Gulfstream last out, breaks his maiden and is coming back into this race. It was the first attempt over 2 turns, first attempt on turf. The 141 and change, Brian, I think that's actually potentially a winning time in this race on Saturday. Does that horse at least have a chance to maybe be part of the trifecta in this race?
Yeah, he ran well, and everything Brian Lynch has had he's a hell of a championship meet. I mean, he's not going to throw 8 horses at you a day, but he was, I think, 4th in the trainer standings. He got 15 wins. It's quite remarkable, actually. Hammerstein's slow, but, he drew well. He's going to sit a nice trip. He's going to be, you don't get Brian at a price, and I made him at 15-1 on the morning line, and he should be every bit of that. It's tough to kind of see him being bet before some of these other horses. He's going to have to step up, but as we kind of, as I mentioned when we kind of started this race, I don't really care who you like in this race. Whoever that is not all that much faster or even better than a Hammerstein in here. So I would expect him to improve. Does he improve enough? I don't know, but he can certainly get in the number in here at a square price.
Hammerstein's grandsire, by the way, Kitten's Joy. How about that? There you go. Full circle. How about that? Full circle.
Full circle. There you go. All right, we'll move on to the main event of the evening or of the afternoon. A mile and a 16th, 2-turn race on the dirt for the 3-year-olds. This is the Holy Bull, the grade 3 Holy Bull. And listen, this list of who's won this race. It's a who's who, right? White Barrio won this 2 years ago. Tiz the Law won this race. Audible, Irish War Cry, Mohayman, all the way back to Barbaro winning this race in 2006. Good horses come out of this race, and I scratched the surface. There's a lot more outside of that. So, who do we like in this one? We'll start with you, Brian.
Yeah, it's tough to go past Fierceness. I mean, he might be 1-9 in this race. 2-year-old champion. The scary thing about Fierceness too is the only time he's been on dry land on a fast track was in the Breeders' Cup, and he just ran off the length of the stretch. That's really, really scary. I mean, clearly this is not a big deal for the connections, but the plan is to run here, skip the Fountain of Youth, come back in the Florida Derby as a fresh horse. I don't see much in his path in here. He's probably going to be 1-5, maybe 1-9. I will say this. This is a short stretch finish line race. And what that does is that can carry horses home I mean, Promises Fulfilled won the Fountain of Youth. That's always my example. I mean, Promises Fulfilled couldn't get 2 turns in a van in a proper race, but you wake up off that far turn and you can see the wire and it's close. So to me, this is just a one punch straight exacta with Hades down on the inside. He was good last time. Go watch his race. I know he beat Florida Breds, big deal.
Sure.
He was really good. Paco will put him on the lead, and I don't really see much in here that's going to run with him early. I don't think he can beat a Fierceness, even if Fierceness is 80%. But he might get brave and hang around longer than people think, and that's my just 7-1 right to the hoop for me.
Look, I got to ask Brian. I mean, look, last year we were having the same conversation about Forte at this time of year, right?
Yeah.
Fierceness in his class, you think?
Yeah, I do, because I think Fierceness has the ability to make his own race, whereas Forte, especially, I mean, we saw it in the Florida Derby, and he ran huge. Don't get me wrong, but he I don't want to say he was at the mercy of the pace. That's not fair, but he didn't have the tactical speed that a Fierceness has. And when you have that kind of running style, you can basically do anything you want. You can make your own trip. If he's fortunate enough to advance to a Florida Derby or a Kentucky Derby, man, that plays really big time, because, you know, you don't have to worry about traffic as much. Whereas Forte, we saw it in the Florida Derby, he's got to go, 8, 9 wide to loop the field. That's a problem. So I think Fierceness has a leg up on him there. With that being said, he's won one race at 15-1, whereas Forte, on his way to a 2-year-old championship, on his way to the Fountain of Youth, on his way to the Florida Derby, much more accomplished.
Yeah. So my question for you, I guess, about the pace scenario for this version of the Holy Bull, do you expect it to be Hades on the front and eventually Fierceness will just pass him and that's your 1-2?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to be on the front. There's no path to victory or running well with Hades. That's not on the front with an aggressive Paco Lopez, the best, you know, speed gate rider I feel we have down here. That's got to be the plan. There's other horses that want to be close. They want to be involved.
They're not as fast, though.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Otello's in this race. I'm really actually interested in this horse.
Yeah.
Won the Mucho Macho Man on New Year's Day. Comes back in this spot. Obviously, that's a 1-turn mile. We're going 2 turns. But a Son of Curlin here. Has he got a shot maybe because he's a little bit more of a late speed?
Yeah, I don't like that race at all. I'm going to play against all the horses. I'll throw something out at you. The Cash Run was run that day for the 3-year-old fillies at a mile too. And I know the complexions of the races were a little bit different. The Mucho Macho Man went in 137.76. The Cash Run went in 137.19. So the fillies, you know, essentially outran the Colts by about 3 lengths. I don't want to poo-poo Othello. He won. He came from off the pace. It was a good effort. There wasn't a lot in there. I mean, the horses that were in there are 20, probably, if I made it more proper, 30-1 in this kind of race. The race fell apart a little bit as well. He's the kind of horse I'm going to play against in this spot.
Domestic Product is in here, the 6 horse. Tyler Aboard is coming out of that money Remsen. That Remsen actually has put up, you know, there's a lot of buzz out of that race, right? People love how Dornoch rallied. People are really high on Sierra Leone, for example, who I imagine we'll see next month. Any chance that it was just a bad track for Domestic Product and he runs it back at a mile and an eighth tomorrow or Saturday, excuse me, at Gulfstream?
Yeah, I think you can draw a line through it. I mean, if you want to, you know, if you like him, you're certainly going to draw a line through it. He ran very, very well 2 back to break his maiden. I wonder though, guys, if he needs a proper 2-turn race. A little bit more of a grinder, a little bit more of a horse that probably needs a little more distance. This is so sharp on Saturday. If you go back and watch some of these mile and a 16th main track races, it's really quick. I don't necessarily know if he's quick enough to be up there. And again, you know, here's the other thing too with the Hades too as well. I'm not saying Domestic Product or these horses, they don't want to win on Saturday. That's not fair and that's not right. But you know damn well Hades is in there to run big. And they got to figure out what they have. A Domestic Product is certainly a Fierceness who probably will win anyway. But it's a means to an end to get them going on Saturday. To me, I think it's like with a Hades, where do we belong? Do we belong on this trail? And he's going to fire as good as he can do on Saturday.
There you go.
All right, guys. You mentioned Deadpan in the last race. Who is your favorite Deadpan comic? Either one of you guys go. Do you have a good favorite Deadpan comic?
Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, that's a pretty good one, actually.
Wow.
He died, right? He died a couple.
Yeah, he did
died
pass
like 2
away.
years
Yeah.
ago.
After him, I'd go Anthony Jeselnik.
No Steve Wright on that though. I mean, the
Oh,
classic.
Steve Wright was good.
Steve Wright's, but he's the GOAT. Like that's like.
Yeah.
But he's the GOAT of deadpan comics, right? I mean, you got to be.
Yeah, he was an odd bird, right? Yeah, I had a friend that was named Steve Wright in college, and we always used to bust him up on that.
All right, Brian, man, we really appreciate you. People can find you on Twitter. You're Brian_J_Nadeau. Is that correct?
That is out there.
And
find him too, man. I want to say they put it out the other day. The Capital OTB. Man, that sheet is so easy to use. It is so well organized, Brian. Kudos to you guys. We've been trying to figure it out. It looks great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Those guys are great. The big sponsor with Gulfstream as well. So we got a nice little there. So appreciate it, guys.
Nice, man.
Yeah, no problem. There we go.
It is.
All right.
All right. Well,
hey, Brian, we appreciate you, man. Have a great
anything you need, guys, just hit me up. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, bud.
See you, bud.
Take care. There's Brian Nadeau. Just expanding our Rolodex of guests there, Louie.
I'm just happy to have people in the different corners of this country that follow horse racing.
I just want people to know, though, that how hard Louie works for all this, man. He really, you bust your tail for this show, and I just really appreciate you.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Brian made that very easy. That did very easy.
He's great. He was good, man.
He's good.
Got really good people.
Gulfstream has him on set for sure. Yeah. So there you
Absolutely.
go. Samantha Perry, he mentioned her. She didn't respond to me.
What?
I'm just kidding. I never reached out to
Okay.
Samantha.
All right. Yeah.
She's not in the book. Brian's in the book.
Anything else to kind of wrap up today?
Man, I don't think so. Just a reminder again, you can listen anywhere. Ask your smart speaker to play ESPN Louisville. 11 o'clock, we'll do the NYRA route. 11:20, we'll talk to Matt Dinnerman. What's that?
You gonna give a Lewis pick or what?
Oh yeah, we do have to talk Robert Williams. But just the people can check us out tomorrow for the NYRA route, and then for the Arkansas route. It'd be nice to talk to Matt Dinnerman tomorrow, of course, too, who's absolutely crushing it at Oakland like we thought he would. And so, look, man, there's a couple of interesting horses in this spot. I'm interested to find out in the Lewis how good the Los Al Futurity was. They're sending Winstock. They're sending Winstock to Arkansas actually, which is interesting. And so I'm interested if that's the horse out of that group. I mean, Kyle Frey's flying in, Bob Baffert's flying him in for that race, to Arkansas. If Baffert thinks enough of the horse to send him to Arkansas after the Los Al Futurity, could the second place finisher in that race in Stronghold the 7 under Antonio Fresu for Phil D'Amato, could that be the horse who lost by a half a length last time, be the one that jumps up here? Broke his maiden, of course, at Churchill in that high level, the highest level of maiden special at Churchill, goes out, runs in the Bob Hope, finishes second by a billion lengths to Nisos, who's in this race. Winstock, though, does go 1 mile and a 16th in that Los Al Futurity. Nisos hasn't gone 2 turns yet. So if you're going to try to beat the very, very, very heavy favorite under Flavia Brad here, that would be your opportunity, I think, is with Stronghold the 7 out there. Nisos is going to be pretty difficult to beat here, 6.
What do you make of Wind Me Up?
Wind Me Up's a nice horse, but the issue there is, and you know this, we've been doing this show for a while. The Nisos numbers out west are 96 and 97 on speed figures. Out west, those speed figures are just massive. If you're Wind Me Up and you're running fast races and you're under Juan Hernandez, you're under Ramon Vasquez, and you're running in the 80s, in California, I don't think that holds up. So that's what I would say about Wind Me Up.
Gotcha. He's going to end up being a good grade 2, grade 3 horse, and it's kind of
or he feels it's what I want to say.
We were just talking about him very differently at the Breeders' Cup. Is all I'm saying.
Like a 7 furlong, 1 turn mile kind of horse.
Sure.
In California, that's just hard to find, right? And so I wonder, if they're just running him in this spot because that's where the purse money is and that kind of stuff. I mean, once in a while, I'm sure too, owners are just wondering, and this is the Pegram folks, do we have a Derby horse here? Just run him in the Lewis. Let's find out. And I don't think we're in that time of season, right? It's that time of year where you find out, hey, is this horse of that quality? We just talked about it with Brian with horses at Gulfstream. I think we're going to side. I think Wind Me Up is very much in that category in California.
All right, Louie. I want to just real quick, since we're kind of done with the horse racing stuff, let the horse racing fans out there who don't follow me on Facebook might not know the stupid decision that I made to
Speaking of stretch out season.
Speaking of stretch out season, this is very legit. But I need people's help here. Okay, so there's a reason.
Right.
I was asked.
Call to action.
Louie and I was asked to dance.
Here we go.
Be one of the celebrity dancers for Let's Dance Louisville 2024 on Father's Day weekend. And this one fundraiser feeds 65,000 people. This one fundraiser does.
Amazing.
And all I'm looking for is 4,000 people to give $25. And if you go to letsdancelouisville.com, you'll see the 2024 dancers. You'll see my ugly face up there, and it's Mike Gandolfo. You click on that. You donate under my name. It's a vote for me. And we're trying to, break some records here and really help them feed the hungry and the hungry population here in Louisville. And yeah, just if you can help, that's great. I've met my dancer, by the way, Louie.
Yeah, you got the best one. They obviously think you stink.
She, you know what? I found out that she got to pick me.
So I have a really important question.
Okay.
Was the local gas station attendant in Anchorage not available?
The local gas station in Anchorage. No, that's right.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have
also
gas.
No. Yeah. They got down to the bottom of the barrel. We actually have someone who was a finalist on America's Got Talent. There's a lot of local news personalities, local chefs, that kind of stuff. So, so I'm excited to represent the horse racing world, to get out there. And I just, I want to raise a lot of money. I don't care if I'm going to have fun with it. We picked our songs, which, you're going to have to wait and see what that's all about.
Man, oh man. What a
Chrissy,
process.
my wife, is the dancer's a redhead. So Chrissy's like, this redhead Russian is going to just kick your ass. And that's 100% true. We met and she's like, your sessions are only gonna be 45 minutes long. I'm like, 45 minutes. She's like, I'm gonna kick your ass in 45 minutes. So, and she will. Yeah.
Look, man, there's
letsdancelouisville.com.
Do it again.
Letsdancelouisville.com. Find me under the 2024 dancers.
Again,
donate $25 and then share it.
There it is. I'm giving Mike a hard time. It's a terrific benefit.
Good.
So go check it
out.
out.
Because I'm nominating you next year to do it. So
I don't really dance with redheads. Is that a thing?
You don't have to dance with Irina. You can dance with someone else and see what happens.
I know that's a problem.
So John from Chef's Cut isn't available? Like, what's going on?
There's a real celebrity, right? Get Chris Cook out there or something like that. So
I heard Brian Nadeau's in the next one. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. So
sweet as that's the
all right.
Man.
That soul patch is legit. Next time we have him on, I'll shave everything and just leave the soul patch.
No, you won't, you liar.
I've had this beard way too long at this point.
Way too long.
All right. Tune in to Louie tomorrow, and if not, we'll still release as a pod. And
serious thanks to Brian.
Guys in a couple weeks. Absolutely, Brian. Thanks a lot. We're going to pay the tab. We're going to get out here. This has been the Horse Racing Happy Hour.